Hello and welcome to the 13th episode of Business Litigation TV, the internet's most passionate show about business litigation. The show is all about talking tips and giving information about aspects of business litigation and how to avoid it. The premise of the show, of course, besides giving tips, is that I take something that I find relevant and I just want to have a conversation with anyone who's out there watching this video. So today's topic I want to talk about is attorney's fees. Probably the most common question I ever get is, well, if I win, can I get back your fees? And 90% of the time, the answer is no. Now, the reason for this is really simple. New York follows what's called the American rule when it comes to attorney fees. The American rule is that you pay for your own attorney's fees unless there's an exception. Now, the rationale behind this, of course, is they don't want to discourage, the courts don't want to discourage you from filing a lawsuit when you feel like you have when you have an action you believe in. But they, if you don't file it because you're afraid you'll have to pay attorney's fees if you lose, that's one of the reasons why this rule exists. The other reason is that the courts want to make sure that when you file the case, you believe in it. If you think no matter what, they're going to pay your attorney's fees, you may just start filing lawsuits in the hopes that, the other side will just pay you off, basically. But if you have to pay for your own attorney, you're more likely to believe in your case. Now, there are some exceptions to that. Number one, and probably the most topical for my area of practice, business litigation, is in a contract. When you make a contract, you can put in there that if there's a lawsuit, the prevailing party will get attorney's fees. So write it into your contracts. Of course, be aware that if you get sued, you have to pay their attorney's fees if you lose. But you can put it into a contract that you get attorney's fees if you win. Now, a little tip too is that if someone puts in there that they will get attorney's fees, it's reciprocal, even if it's not written in the contract. So that's why you just put that the prevailing party will get attorney's fees. Now, the other exception, of course, is called statutory, which means that if there's a law in the books where you get attorney's fees if you win, obviously you get attorney's fees. Now, the most common example is, and something I like to use, is called GBL, General Business Law, Section 349. That one says that if someone's engaged in deceptive business practices, that they can be fined, basically, and they can end up paying your attorney's fees. So those are the exceptions to the rule. Now, no matter what, it's still kind of up to court discretion. They may not award you the attorney's fees. It's a lot easier in a contract and statutory, but the courts in general, they still make the judgments. So those are kind of the rules that are involved with attorney's fees. And yeah, if you have any questions, want to talk about your case, you can always email me at jesse@jdelaw.nyc. That's jesse@jdelaw.nyc. So remember, my business is to help your business. Give me an email if you have any questions or concerns. Until next time.